Hey everyone, thanks so much for being here. Welcome back. Well, guys, I put together this list of things that I think will be helpful to you. And it's based on my conversations with, people I've spoken to over the phone who've experienced narcissistic abuse, as well as my own experience through the decades and, personal friends that I've had that have experienced narcissistic abuse as well. They seem to agree with these, and I want you to, let me know in the comments if you do too. See if these things apply to your narcissist or you observe them about narcissists in your life. Now, most of you guys know what supply is, obviously. It's, the whatever makes the narcissist feel better about themselves, feeds their ego, gives them a new higher status, and fulfills their narcissistic needs. The narcissist uses people for whatever need they have, whether it's attention or admiration, money, sex, fame, status, whatever it is. That's their need. It's endless with the narcissist. It's an endless pit of narcissistic needs that they have, and they don't have any moral compass. They'll do whatever it takes to fulfill those needs, which is why they need different forms of supply. You guys know it, and I know it. One person could never fulfill the narcissistic needs of a severe narcissist, usually a severe malignant narcissist or a severe covert narcissist as well. They have different people for different types of supply needs in their life. And let's go over what those are. Maybe you'll recognize this happening in your life. Now, different types of supply that's needed by a severe narcissist, okay? The first one I thought of was the church-going ethical form of supply. Now, this form of supply has values, is Christian-based, makes the narcissist look good at church or maybe Lenten fish dinners or charity organizations. That's the person that they bring around to those events or introduce to those types of connections, right? It makes the target look ethical and moral, hanging around somebody like that. And they will use that form of supply for those types of events. They have to be seen as a good person, so they're not going to bring somebody that's not to one of those events or somebody that doesn't fit in with the, moral integrity that is required at those events. So that's who they would bring to those, church events or, types of organizations. Now, another form of supply that I observed was the sports and activity form of supply. Now, you know that the narcissist has ants in their pants a lot of times. They're exhausting. They're always doing something. They need to be around people. They're always doing activities, and they get bored very easily. So they're going kayaking and snow skiing and camping and, joining this club and that club, whatever. But usually it's like the outdoor activity person that they have fun with that loves outdoor activities like them. A lot of times, say the church-going supply, maybe they're not into outdoor activities or camping or earthy type of things. So the narcissist isn't going to deny themselves those type of activities if that's what they want to do. So instead of sticking to one form of supply if they're in a relationship, they'll have somebody that's the activity, sports and activity form of supply, the one that's the outdoorsy person that they know they can do those activities with. And they really don't care if they do it behind the main target's back. They don't care. They just want to have fun. You know that, and I know that. So they usually have these different varied forms of supply waiting in the queue to call upon when they need them. So that was one of them. If you're not an outdoorsy person and that the narcissist is, just know that they're probably not denying themselves that. They're probably doing it with somebody else. Okay, now there's the ego and show-off form of supply. That's the person that feeds their ego and the person that they can show off and feel like a big person around. In other words, the flashy person, the person that is maybe sexy dressed and, really presents very well. Typical thing would be like the older man with a 20-year-old model, the star of the football team when they go out or amongst their friends, if it's that type of event they're going to, or if they have to impress somebody that would appreciate that or look up to that. Like, they're the man. And if it's a woman, she's got the hunky guy next to her. Maybe it's an older woman with a younger guy, that type of thing. It's a superficial type of form of supply, somebody that just they utilize to, build their self-esteem up and to look like they've got it going on, to the masses. So that's the person, the form of supply that they'll take to those types of events, the ego and show off form of supply. Now, there's the adoration form of supply. And the adoration one is the one who loves the narcissist unconditionally, the one who, looks at them with starry eyes and is madly in love with them and puts up with a lot of stuff. This person is usually the doormat because they're in love. They really don't speak up and they accept a lot of things and they blame themselves and they just go along with being the doormat, being available when the narcissist calls and sticking by their side. And if they do something wrong, they put their head down. They don't say anything. It's a control thing with the narcissist. The narcissist goes to the adoration supply when they have to feel a sense of dominance and control over someone. And they get their share of adoration and unconditional love from that form of supply. The poor person who is adoring the narcissist in this type of relationship really doesn't get anything back. They're just basically used for that type of supply, by the narcissist. Now, there's the negative attention form of supply. That's the one the narcissist sees as a challenge, maybe the one that rejected them in the past or broke up with them in the past. And, when all else fails, they'll call them up and sound aggressive or do that shocking Hoover, as I mentioned in the prior video. They'll use insult or start a fight over the phone or leave a hostile voicemail message just so that target will call them back with negativity. All supply is good supply to the narcissist. They don't care whether it's yelling back at them or telling them to go away or I don't need you or starting a fight on the phone. The narcissist doesn't care. If they're bored and if there's no one else around or maybe they've been dumped or nobody's available, many times they resort to that past supply that gives them negative attention, somebody they can fight with. It's better than sitting around bored to the narcissist. They love a good fight. And it feeds their ego that the person is even engaging with them. So it's unfortunate, but, some narcissists resort to that. They recycle people. And this has happened maybe, years down the road. Maybe the past form of supply hasn't heard from the narcissist in years. But if the narcissist is bored enough and needs supply enough, yeah, they'll call people from their past and recycle them. They don't really care what kind of response they get. It's a response and it feeds their ego. So that's a form of supply. It's the negative attention form of supply. Another form of supply that I've observed is the celebrity and status supply. Now, that's somebody that the narcissist looks up to as a status symbol, or maybe they have a certain position in the community, or maybe they're top of the game at their job, or perhaps they're an actor or a singer or somebody who's a multimillionaire or billionaire that's known to people either in the community or globally. It doesn't matter. If the person has a celebrity status of any type, the narcissist really will use that person and will really look forward to hanging out with that person because they'll feel better about themselves. They feel like a somebody by association. You know that, and I know that. It feeds their ego, and they like to have that edge that they're better than other people, and they'll cling on to these famous people or people of notoriety for that reason. So their name can be in the paper, their picture can be taken. They love to promote themselves and, try to climb the ladder in their business and in the communities. So that's one type of supply that I noticed was the celebrity and status supply, guys. Another one that feeds their ego with supply, another type of supply, is the hero supply. The hero supply is somebody that is in need, and the narcissist runs to their rescue. It makes the narcissist feel like a hero, obviously, if they can help somebody who is down and out, or loan them money, or give them money for their business, or give them a job or something like that, or introduce them to somebody that can help them. However the narcissist helps that person who's down and out, it's never for the right reasons. The narcissist will do it for their own need to be the hero. They need to be important. They need to control that person as well. So if they help the person, if the person helping is a narcissist, it's usually going to be thrown up to that person who was helped. They will, the person being helped will forever be indebted to the narcissist, and it'll never be forgotten. But unfortunately, a lot of these people, that encounter narcissists who were helped by a narcissist didn't know that it was going to be thrown up to them, didn't realize, it wasn't for the right reasons. It was for their need to control that person, or to use that person for their own ego so they can feel bigger than them, or, dominate them somehow. And that's obviously for the wrong reasons. People take advantage of people that are down and out, or are in a compromising situation. So just heads up about that. Make sure you know the person. Also, another form of supply is the bullying supply, the supply that they can bully. Now, if a narcissist needs a big hit to their strength and their ego and their need to dominate, it's by bullying people, right? So there's always that person that they can sarcastically put down, or make fun of, or gossip about, or laugh at, right? That's their form of supply, the form of supply that they can bully. Now, the other form of supply, guys, is the sexual supply, okay? Now, I don't have to really explain this one to a lot of you. The narcissist gets bored with everything in life, so I wouldn't put anything past them. And it's not in every case, but in a lot of cases, they need their sexual needs met in different ways than normal human beings. They're confused sexually in many incidences, and therefore, many times they have a secret life behind their main supplies back, where those needs are being met. And the main target doesn't have any clue what's going on. So they don't deny themselves in that area. And a lot of times, a form of supply is used simply for sex or their sexual needs. Many times they mistake a sexual relationship or physical relationship with a narcissist as love. And they're led down the wrong path. They think that if the narcissist is having a physical relationship with them, that they're cared for, that they're loved, and which couldn't be further from the truth. The narcissist many times simply wants their sexual gratification taken care of, and they have a form of supply waiting in queue that is basically used for just that, unfortunately. We've observed this in many narcissists. They really have a secret life in many ways because they do get bored in that area. And one person, one form of supply does not meet their greedy needs in that area, and their unusual needs many times. I can't tell you how many people have confided in me and online on other platforms that their narcissist had other sexual partners, and or they found out about sexual needs that were shocking. And that's extremely unfortunate and traumatic when it happens, because the narcissist is very secretive, and we know the mask that they put up looks very normal to the outside world, right? They're very charming people, and they can present a very normal, charismatic facade to people. But behind closed doors, they have a great need to take care of their own needs. And many times those own needs are met in secret. So just beware, be conscious. It's not in every case, but it sure as heck is in a lot of cases with these severe narcissists. Now, we know that the narcissist is a chameleon of sorts. And this is why, they really change forms of supply like they do their socks every day. They really don't care who it hurts. They're just looking for the best person to give them the best form of supply and fun that they're craving that day. It's all about them and what they want. They really don't care who they hurt. They don't have a moral compass. They don't have a sense of guilt. And it's really something when you start to see the patterns that they have. So guys, does this pattern of behavior sound familiar to you? Did you experience this or observe this with the narcissist in your life? And if so, which supply category did you fall into? Was it one? Was it all of them? Or just a few? Curious to find out in the comments. And please make sure you follow on Facebook, X, Quora, and Rumble, guys. And if you would like one-on-one Christian guidance, email me at angelheavenministry@gmail.com, and I'll be sure to get back to you on how to do that. Also, leave your prayer requests, and I'll be sure to add you to my daily prayers. Know that all of you are prayed for daily. And I'll see you next time, guys. God bless.